With the blessing of God, I welcome you all for the 7 days International Virtual Faculty Development Program on Research Design and Research Proposal Writing. This 7 days program is jointly organized by the Department of English, Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, India, Malaysian Industrial Relations and Human Resource Association Malaysia, Cap Cameroon Trust India, Lavender Literary Club India. Today is the final day as well as seventh day of this program. It is the right time to welcome you all the participants, resource persons, academicians and research scholars to this program. Let me introduce first session speaker, Dr. Balakrishnan. Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman is an international consultant providing training, consultancy, and research service to a wide variety of local and international organizations in the fields of industrial relations, employee participations, human resource management, global management, quality management, collective bargaining, conflict management, and related areas. Over the years, he has completed a considerable number of published researches on employee participation and involvement, health and safety in the plantation and manufacturing sector, joint consultation, labor relations in the multinationals, works councils in Shell, workplace flexibility, quality management, child labor, labor in the plantation sector, industrial relations in auto, postal and steel industries, and the informal economy for the International Labour Organization, Asia Europe Center, Japan Institute of Labour, Universe Foundation, Korean Labour Institute, and other sponsoring organizations. He has been a paper presenter in many local and international conferences. Dr. Balakrishnan pioneered in studying just consultation committee programs in companies in Malaysia and other Southeast Asian countries. He published more than 200 papers in referred journals, books, technical research support, and others. Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman obtained his PhD degree from University of Wollongong and MSc from the University of Stirling, UK. He is a member of the International Honor Societies of the International Industrial Relations Association based in Geneva, Switzerland, the Malaysian Institute of HRM and International Employment Relations Association, Sydney, Australia. Dr. Bala has been always invited by TV Astro Avani and RTM Sabha to give his opinion on minimum wage, industrial relations, human capital, safety, and human resources issues from the global or local perspective. He also appointed as a committee in many national and international labor related institutions such as ILO, Ministry of Human Resource Malaysia, Technical Committee, National Wage Consultation Council, Technical Committee, Human Capital Development, Prime Minister Department, and others. Presently, he is a professor of management, HR, industrial relations at the Faculty of Entrepreneurship and Business, University, Malaysia, Kelantan, based in Kota Bharu, Kelantan. He also was adjusted as an outstanding PhD researcher at University of Wollongong, Australia in 2004 and was recipient of the Best Academic Staff of the UMS in 2002, 2003, 2007, 2009, 2010, 2011 and was a recipient of the Visiting Research Fellow at the Center of Asia, Pacific and Social Transformations and Faculty of Commerce, University of Wollongong and visiting professor at University of Indonesia in 2010. He also invited visiting senior research fellow in Wako University, Tokyo, Japan in 2011. He was the recipient of the Global HR Award 2009 from the World HRD Advisory Council. He won gold, silver, and bronze medals at national and international Research and Products Innovation Competition in Kuala Lumpur, Seoul, Korea, and Geneva, Switzerland. And Professor Bala is currently supporting Sastra University to impact more schools in Malaysia by working with University Malaysia Kelantan. Such a long profile, sir. I'm very happy to introduce you. Welcome you, sir. Welcome you to this session. And I think it will be a very interesting one. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Pandya. I think you don't need to read everything. You just make a summary. I think it's too long. Of course, the CV indicate that how many years I'm working in the industry.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So it's
It
almost
shows you have a huge.
Prof,
28 years lah, 25 at the
Sir,
US.
sound. You can raise your
Prof.
volume. I think so.
Yeah, I think I already told you some difficulties in the sound. Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have some problem with the laptop because now we cannot go out, lockdown. Okay, thanks for
Yes, sir.
your, long CV. And I would like to thanks to everyone in this room, especially I would like to thanks to all my friends from Malaysia and India, and also students abroad from Malaysia and also from India. I think so. So before I go to my topic, of course my topic is actually very unique. So the question of qualitative approach and option or mandatory, I think you already got the answer. Maybe by the end of section you may give your opinion whether it's an option or mandatory. So that's what about the method, the approach that we are going to discuss here. All right. Of course, today is last day. So normally what happened is last day, not many people coming. I hope people are coming and join us. This is a common for all of us. Right? So, but it's okay. I think you all be patient. I see some participants, or every day I saw they are coming for the session. I think you already done very good job. I'd like to thanks to Dr. Frank, who is always communicate with me all the time. Very humble person. Sometimes disappear from the system here, but he's always there at the back door. President of Lavender Literature Club, and Dr. Regin, President of Comorin Trust. I think they are very actively with the Lavender. And of course, my good friend, Dr. Ganesan. I think I know Dr. Frank and also your NGOs, through Dr. Ganesan. I would like to honor especially to you, Dr. Ganesan, because without you, I won't be able to can talk in front of the people here. And of course, he's also very well respected scholar in Malaysia, especially in the education. We are together a long time ago, and we established MIRHA, Malaysian Industrial Relation Human Resources, which lies direct to ILO, International Labour Organization. We are going to launch very soon after the MCO. And also all respected committee members, participants from India, Malaysia, Indonesia, other countries, especially my PhD master student also around here. Thank you for supporting. 7 days, 14 speakers. Wow, that is a really wonderful international seminar that I come across in my life. And I think the credit goes to Lavender and also Cap Comorin people behind the leadership of Dr. Frank and Dr. Regin. I think you all done very good job. Excellent. I think nobody will organize 7 days and 40 speakers and come from mainly from three countries, Malaysia, India, and Indonesia. So I'm not going to repeating this one. I think Dr. Ms. Pandya already explained on my CV. But basically, I started with with my in the beginning when I start my degree, I always introduce quantitative approach. Then that's how I started in my early career. Of course, we know a little bit on the qualitative, more on quantitative. I think last 6 days, you will be introducing by many scholars, people in this room, except Dr. Ganesan yesterday talk about historical research, which is relevant to what I'm going to talk today. But you can see here, don't underestimate the other approach, other coin. If you look at the coin, the shilling, like the money coin, you look at the two both very important. You just put a coin and look at the back and the front. Most important. Don't undermine or that only qualitative or quantitative, but both can create So you can see in this picture, we are using qualitative with my friend Dr. Ariana here. He also my colleague from Indonesia, Indonesia, and we both come up with a new model that we won best paper, and also the model that we won in New Delhi in 2007 with one of the biggest conference. Our paper was specially published because of our new model that we invented. Then you can see that a lot of medals we won not only in Malaysia but abroad with this qualitative. That's why my question is, do you think that qualitative is a mandatory or option? This is our latest book. You can see here, just published in May. This book actually written by my friend Dato Sri Abdul Rahman, together with another professor at another university. So this is a collaboration work with industry. Dato is one of the ex CEO, one of the big organizations in Malaysia. We related to rubber plantation, but it's from government body. And he did complete a PhD at the age of 60, I think 65 or 66. So don't give a reason for young people in this room say, oh, I'm very getting old. No, there's no age for you to give a reason. But Dato finished, and he is using both qualitative and quantitative, and we publish a book. Most of you, maybe you're from India, maybe little knowledge in Malaysia. So we are actually south to the Thailand, and we are south in Singapore, and above north is Thailand. So you can see very clear. And then there's a Borneo island, Sabah, Sarawak. There are a few people here. Mr. Albert just now he was talking. He from Sabah, about 2 hours 40 minutes from Kuala Lumpur. So there are a lot of people coming to our ini. So my student is everywhere in Malaysia. Every state they are studying under me. So that's how I think as a scholar we need to promote. So this is where my place. I just go through this one. University of Malaysia Kelantan. If you see Kuala Lumpur to my place for 1 hour flight. At the moment I'm staying in Kuala Lumpur in my place because of lockdown. We haven't know when I can go back there. This is my campus, and our university is actually entrepreneurship university. So mostly some of you think, why Prabala didn't talk the topic? But actually this is how qualitative will start. Qualitative will start with pictures, with the design, everything. So this is very impressive. That's why qualitative research start with all these different kind of tools that we're using to justify our theory and also our model. I think actually Dr. Ganesan was talking about the historical document, which is very interesting, and maybe you all already explore them. Before that, a lot of scholars talking about conceptual model, theoretical model, hypothesis, how to develop question, how to develop research problem, and so on, all interrelated. So today I'm not talking, repeating what they are in here, but last 25 years, I managed to get a grant. You can ask Prabala, how can with the qualitative you're able to get? Actually, that's why I'm telling you, it's not a method of qualitative or quantitative. How the both can contribute to the need. So how you bring your epistemology, ontology, and methodology, which is I think very important factor when you do your research. So I'm able to get a lot of grant from the World Bank and ILO, and also many grants from Malaysia and so on. So to get a grant is not easy. To get grant, you need to have a very good proposal, and you have a network. Okay, very important to have a network, because network can bring you together. All of like today, today we are sitting in the room in our house, but we are communicate with many people from all other part of the world. So that's very important. Okay, so to me it's okay. So what is basically what is a qualitative research? Everybody in the mind. So some of my students, of course, they are actually there was concern about that, Prof. How to do this research. And then I said, you need to go and read. And apart from that, I also involved in the examination of thesis, both qualitative and quantitative. That's why as a scholar, I exposed by these two methods. Most of my thesis that I examine from India, I receiving a lot of thesis from India also now. A lot of scholars, they go to the Google or refer to my paper, and they are starting asking me to be examiner. And I said, okay, no problem. So I'm actually examine most of the thesis, actually 100%, 80% of thesis, I think in quantitative. But you can ask why I'm in qualitative, because I that's what my paradigm shift is. I look at the problem in different ways. Okay, so that's the interesting part. So qualitative is what, and then before that, of course, you guys I think already done this one with the other scholars. I don't go repeating. Key issue is I asked my student why you come to do your masters and PhD, for what reason. You must have a reason to come do. You don't simply come to do your research. You must have passionate about the problems. What is the problem you're going to come out and research, and after that you're going to apply to the theory or to the problems, to the conceptual, and later you develop new theory. So many students was grumbling, they know where to start, what to do. And I told them, you must select the topic that he will be contributing to both, actually, in terms of in terms of the theory and in terms of the practical. That is a very, very important as a research scholar. So so the big question, so what with my research, example, PhD and master. So that what a question will ask by the by the examiner or by the. So every time when I go examine the thesis, I examine thesis also from the overseas students, from China, from Vietnam, from Indonesia, and also from Australia, from New Zealand, and also India, and also Malaysia. So I receive a lot of PhD and master thesis, mostly PhD. So I asked the candidate, so what is he going to do? You have to tell me what is, how you write the introduction, how you write the research problem, what are the questions you're going to ask. So sometimes they are blurred, they don't know what to do, but later on we know what they're trying to do. So that's very important. I think the last 6 days, when you listen, you must have grab all the knowledge together. Those coming from the day one to the now, I think you have very grounded on the research methodology. I really thanks to the Lavender and Komro, the organizer, which you already propose, you put in the right place, in the right topics, and you bring all together this today. So those not coming today, I think they really will be upset. They really will be sad because they didn't come today. Today is actually very important for them to make conclusion that quantitative and qualitative must go hand by hand, and you decide your life. Okay. So what is research? This is what I say: read. I told my student, without reading, how can you understand the problem? You have to read. You tell your staff. Some of my students actually working in the company, they'll tell the staff, do this, do that, but they themselves never do. So set a good example. When you become a lecturer or teacher, you ask your student to do. So you need to read. You need to read and then write. That's a problem with our students. They never write. They're depending so much on supervisor. Please, supervisor is just supervise your thesis. They are mentor. They cannot write for you. You are in the level of the doctorate and masters, or of course, you are lecturers. And after you write, I told them, go and write a paper, and try your error, put in the impact journal. I think last few days, we listened to the, from few scholars, from Arab and many from Indonesia. They're talking about writing in impact. Yes, go to Scopus, go to the ISI. Don't go to the journal that predator journal. No, try your best. You learn, you reject, doesn't matter. It's okay. Take it easy. I have rejection a lot. So what? I rejected. Even a professor rejected. So what? I learned from that. And I dream for that. I want to go to top journal. At least I had to dream. So as a student, you need to read and write, and then rinse, go and have a coffee, come back again and repeat again, repeat, and then you finish. Sorry to say, I have a few students, really excellent. I just want to praise them. They're really excellent. They are not good in knowledge. They don't have any background on the HR. They don't have background in IR, but they finish within 1.5 years. How? Determination, the dedication, the their way of life. They put the effort. They learn. They write. Finally, they finish. That's what I want to see all my students. So research is a very joyful thing. You know that you won't get bored on research. Research is a systematic approach. You cannot prove something. You cannot say by emotional. People will angry with you. Example, I do minimum wage in the country. The workers suffering now. Pandemic, COVID-19. People lost a job. People don't have anything. How am I going to do that? I have to do the research. I have to go and collect data from the quantitative data and qualitative data, talking to the people. And recently we have a lot of participants coming to do our FGD, focus group discussion. And people talking all the issues. We listen to them. We are listening their tears. So that is how the powerful qualitative. You can see their body language. You can see their eyes, and from there you make conclusion, and then you make right paper, a good paper, you publish, and you become your doctorate or master's, or it can be a paper for your, for the policymaker. That's what we are doing for last 11 years when I was in the high level at the technical committee, minimum wage in the country, where we are doing for the Malaysia, the whole Malaysia. Every 2 years, we have to do research, qualitative and quantitative. So this is a process. This is what all the scholar was saying. Start review available literature. Why student cannot, you know that I'm telling all these rooms, their library is superb, they got the best library. But when they cannot, they say, we come back, we don't know what to do. You need to go and review the available literature, formulate the question, select the design, collect data, interpret, finish. That is the process of the master and PhD. Why you cannot do this? Very easy, not so tough. But of course, you need to read, and then you have to debate. You have to come back with some solution. Don't everything demanding with a supervisor. Some students say, "Bro, I'm very headache. Why you doing so many comments?" Hey, his comments are very good. The more comment you get, the better you are. I get a comment from a professor. I was doing 1 year my literature review and methodology. My professor just threw away. He said, "This is not up to standard. This is Australia, about study." And how you feel? I don't agree with him. I take it as a positive. He is a supervisor for me. Today, we have become good friends. And today, the quality, you can see where I am. So the research, I think, I'm not going through this all detail. It can be exploration, description, or explanation. And this is how the qualitative and quantitative will be coming. So everybody was thinking, what is research? Whether it's qualitative, whether it's quantitative, it's a scientific reasoning. Understand, please. It's a logic. Okay, it's a logic. It's a logic and mean how to prove, how to confirm certain theory. There will be theory on the job satisfaction, Maslow theory. You're going to apply to the Indian setting. You're going to apply to Tamil Nadu. You want to apply in New Delhi. You want to apply Uttar Pradesh. You apply in Kuala Lumpur. Totally, Maslow theory cannot work in different settings. And the result totally different. And that's how the theory was developed. And after theory was developed, you have to go and test or understanding. That word very important. When you talk about testing, then you go deductive approach. When you understand the theory, then you go to inductive. Very easy. Don't be so confused. Deductive, you have all the theoretical or conceptual framework. You go and test. And that's why you need all the predetermination, like hypothetical and so on. Whereas in inductive, no, you just use the theory to understand the phenomena. That's what I'm using all my career as a lecturer. Okay, but I found a lot of good result, So the choice actually of research strategy, whether you want to do qualitative or quantitative, is actually your choice of positivism, and it comes to under epistemology and also objectivity ontology. So people do understand, people at the PhD level, master level, you must understand where you are standing now. Where is your ontology? Where is epistemology? Where you want to bring your methodology into this both positivism. What do you mean positivism? Positivism means your objectivity. You want to test. Always remember, positivist people, they always want to test. When they want to test, you need to have some kind of theory or concept to testing. I think Dr. Madan was talking about very good explain about the conceptual framework and theoretical framework. That one you done that, you want to test. Then the word comes positivism. The other group of people, they call non-positivism. That we call interpretive. So you must understand that the two fundamental philosophical of science. One is positivism. The other one is non-positivism. I am in the non-positivism. But I can understand the positivism. I can know what they're doing. But I cannot stand on their side. I'm standing on this side. Because as a scholar in HR, IR, I want to see the people's body connectivity between me and the respondent. I am to see them, how their face is, how they're reacting, how they perceive the problem, how they say to us. That's very important for me. I'm not a person that using testing the human. No, I'm not do that. But of course, there's no wrong, there's no right. It's depending on where you bring your ontology. So scholars here, I think there are many scholars, lecturers here, please introduce your student both method. Let them explore all the method, regardless, qualitative or quantitative or mixed method, doesn't matter. Let them decide. Let them bring their own problem, research problem, and they start doing explain the problem in the reality. Okay, so where you want to find the problem, we as a social sciences, many of you here, language expert like Dr. Ganesan were talking about historical, everything is important. Nothing is said not important, all important. The thing that how you bring the issue is very important. Example, I give one my student is from Sabah. I think he's in my room. I think room. He's already there for 6 days. His name Mr. Albert. I asked Mr. Albert, you are musician. Hey, you as a musician, can you come and marry with the HR? Can or not? He said, cannot, prof. I can only know how to play the piano. I only know how to play guitar. I only know that I cannot connectivity. I say, why? You have to connect with the HR, the human. Actually, who run the music? Actually, human. And you got to answer already. Wow. How to do that? You bring human capital theory. You bring the soft skill. And you go and see how this, what they call the choir members, what skill they have. They have a teamwork, the body language, the language, all this you must study. And then you bring the HR, where they are, how their leadership, and so on. And they got answer ready. Wow, prof, I'm going to apply this. That is a theory you develop between other field. And this we call epistemology. The ontology theory is there. And I'll go back another student. He also from Sabah. He said he was a very key person in the cooperative. Cooperative, huh? Most cooperative. And he said to him, Prof, what am I going to do? I said, do you know that now a lot of graduate no job? That is issue. That's a problem. So how are you going to solve the problem? He said, I don't know how to do that. Prof, okay, I give an issue, you go explore. And he come back to me, Prof, excellent. I'm going to study the graduate employability, how the cooperative as a business entity can help them to go inside. Because the research indicate that the less study done on the graduate employability. And how are we going to do that? Prof, I'm going to see them. I want to talk to them. I'm going to talk to the cooperative owner. I'm going to talk to the student himself, whether they like it or not, cooperative. From there, I'm going to propose a model that whether this issue employability, jobless, the graduate, they're earning low pay, everything. So maybe cooperative can give away, and then he got the answer ready. And that's how he go in, because he was there for cooperative for more than 25 years. Mr. Albert was in the music for more than 20 years. So I got another student, Mr. Lim. He was a deputy director, one of the top hospital in one of the state, next my state, Terengganu. And I call him, Mr. Lim, I want to do a doctorate or not? And yes, he want to do, he's doing DBA. So I give all the topic. You go and study frontliner. Now the frontline is suffering, Mr. Lim, suffering. They don't know what to do. They are nurses, they are doctors. Everybody's scary, mental and so on. How is a job, performance and so on. And he go to that. So after that, he come back to do, Prof, I already got this problem. I got it is. What am I going to do? You choose the right method, right topic, right issue, right problem. Everything be okay. And then you come to the right analysis. Everything okay. Then you finish. There's many people cannot finish PhD, masters because they're still struggling. But remember, those struggling, those confused, those things, headache, they are good students. You agree with me? All of you? Please agree with me. Some students say, Prof, I'm a headache. I can't sleep. That's very good. Do you know that how many days I never sleep? You know that how many days I don't know what to do? I blur. I don't know what in the bus, on the plane, on the road. I take the book, I read and read and read. I didn't see anything. My supervisor told me, Prof Bala, you will see the light on the tunnel. When you're going to see, I don't know. You're going to see. I didn't see the light. 1 year finished. 3 years, 2 years finished. 3 years finished. 3.5 years finished. I come back to Malaysia without see the light. People think I'm failed. I still struggle in my life. I work with others. I want to see the light. Finally, with the God's help, the Almighty God show me the light. That's how tough I'm doing PhD in Australia. Then I see why you all take it easy. Why you all didn't come to attend all these conference, all the talk. What happened to you all? You need to come and understand. Don't relying on your supervisor. I relying on my supervisor less than 10%. And I'm very scared to see him. When I see him, I must be very, very make sure that I'm okay. So when you come to the methodology, then you open your mind. The issue that you study, the problem you've done, the question you've done, you match with a method. How that's how method come. People will misunderstand. Always go and talk method. No way. Method won't come later. what you set up is your epistemology, ontology, where the knowledge is, how you're going to acquire the knowledge, and how to do that is actually depending on you. So that's very, very important as a student. So you must understand that. Okay. So, okay, this interesting part. You compare what is a qualitative one. I won't repeating this one, but I can show the table here. Very it's interesting. What is the common distinction between the two? You can see qualitative and quantitative. Very easy. When you talk about description, interpretation, you're going to explain the whole phenomena with in-depth studies. When you do explanation, of course, you have a 2-3 variables that you're going to measure that. One is independent variable, then the dependent variable, then you have what you call a mediator variable or moderator variable, depending on you. This is what they're doing. And what is this? Induction. Induction means you just bring your theory and then you bring back to the setting and you inquire. Like example, when I do my research on employee participation, the theory well done since 18th century, 1800, already developed the theory. I go back to the original text. You cannot simply take people. Today I see a lot of students just take here. Cannot. You go back to the original text. That's why Dr. Ganesan agree with me. Must go to historical document, the original document that you experience today. Get back the document. I got a document in 1980th century. I got the library, British library. I went to Australia library. I went to South Africa library. I got it. Not I went there. I asked the librarian to pass me. And then I bring that theory and come to apply in Malaysia. I cannot apply directly. I need to do induction first. So I cannot test it. I cannot test because the theory is not well developed in Malaysia, but well developed in Europe, in Australia, in America, in many countries, but not in Malaysia. So I'm using this induction approach. In qualitative, we are looking for the meaning. What people say the meaning when they say we are not happy today, pandemic. Why you not happy? I ask question. Why you not happy? Because I have not enough money. I cannot live with this kind of situation. I'm jobless. Let's say you questionnaire, they just tick. You only forward numbers, how many percentage, how many people, how many numbers. But here meaning, here depth. You make generalization to all. Let's say I do quantitative, the whole Malaysia. I'm not doing that. I'm only looking at the one industry, that particular industry, what's happening, and I do in-depth studies. So multiple realities. I'm not just looking at the one reality. If you do just employee, I also looking at employer, employee, and trade union. I bring the multiple reality to understand what is employee participation. On one hand, employer said, wow, we are really, really enjoying with the employee participation. We are giving empowered, we're giving the employee. The other side of the coin, employee said, no, we are control. And you go to union said, fine, like that. So you bring all together and look at the government sector. They may say something different. So your job is actually putting together. That is the power of the qualitative. If in quantitative, it's just single reality. You just do one setting. Let's say you do employer is employer, employee is employee. So something like that. This is holistic. As I told you, holistic. Look at the cultural value. Like I found that culture is very important in Malaysia, comparable to Europe. In employee participation, in Europe, they don't care. They just talk and talk. Even the family, even the manager, you can criticize them here. In ASEAN, cannot. You have to respect people. That's how we're living. So people scared to voice up. People worried to voice up. So we need to do holistic because you go back to the culture. Our culture is Asian culture. Is a little bit shy. We don't talk. But in Euro culture, they don't shy. They just criticize you. If they don't like a manager, they just say, better you just resign. You go back. You don't come in. So different, environment, different things. If you look at historical, like Dr. Gani said, historical, where we come from. Like you can see a lot of Indian in Malaysia, where they come from, where the root is. We all come from the Tamil Nadu, like those days, as a laborer, we came as a laborer brought by the British. And after that, we are third generation now. So we are already part of our big family as a Malaysian. That's why just now, before you come, Dr. Ganesan and Albert, they're talking in Malay. We can communicate in Malay. I can speak Malay very well. Saya boleh bercakap dalam bahasa Melayu dan bahasa English dan juga bahasa Tamil. So I got 3 language I can speak. Little bit in Spanish. I can talk. So we can communicate, no problem. And these are the cultural values we brought at the workplace, where you cannot find in a quantitative. Develop theories. Over there, test the theories. Process oriented. Here, outcome oriented. And then so very easy. You can see the different between qualitative and quantitative. That's why I'm asking, is it mandatory or option? It's depending on what is your research problem and question, okay? So what is a qualitative research? And the way I feel, the feel, and then how hard on a scale at 110. So people looking at the qualitative and quantitative numbers, here your feeling. Very important. For me, it's a feeling. I did my doctorate in 3 big companies, and one of the company I went interview, there's one lady, she was about 20 years working in the company. She was when I start asking, how are you? To her, she started cry and cry non-stop. I asked her, why? Why, madam? Why you cry in front of me? You are the first one asking me, how are you? Nobody asking me in this company for 20 years. You see how powerful qualitative? Now you know the appreciate, the feeling they voice up to you. Why? I said, yes, I enough the word. You say, how are you? How's the feeling? And then she talked a lot of issue with me, sharing issue with me. And he said, can you help me or not? I say, I can help you, but I cannot help you directly. I maybe do my, come back after PhD, I make a book, and exactly happened to Malaysia when I come back from PhD. Today, I'm very proud. If I die today, I'm proud. Millions of people enjoying minimum wage today. People can buy food. People can go to KFC. People can go to all these called the underprivileged people. Last time the salary is very, very low. Today, we're paying about 1,200 ringgit for town, and other place 1,100. Those days, I work in Sabah. I think Ms. Albert will agree with me. Only 200 ringgit. How people going to survive? Not enough. And that's how my PhD worked in the national level. I'm very proud to do it on qualitative. I understand. And today they are enjoying life. A lot of mothers, a lot of fathers, a lot of kids now enjoying. At least the kids can go to KFC. At least the kids can go to McDonald's. At least the kids can buy bicycle. At least the father can buy motorcycle. Everything can be done. The bank can give a loan. Those days, zero. So you know that while you're doing research, take it easy. I told my student, don't come and do research like for yourself. Do it for others. Today I got one PhD student. You want to say, Probala, I back off. I cannot do anything. I ask one question. Is PhD for you or for the people suffering here? You ask me now. People now, pandemic, people losing a job. Your research talking about entrepreneur. You're going to bring a best model to study about the balance between work, life, and religion. There are people now relying on religion. People praying very hard. People say, don't know what to do. COVID is coming, increasing, numbers increasing. Every day, we don't know what happened. And you do the research. You do for yourself. No, for the people there. Any accepted. You say, yes, Prabhala, I will follow you. I will finish my study. So remember, whatever you do, you're not doing for yourself, but you're doing for others. And it will work out in after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years or 5 years. So my student here, and ladies and gentlemen in this room, in India, you got a lot of work to do. In India, people suffering. I can see I can feel that. People no job. I went to India from Mumbai. I went to the New Delhi. I went to, like Bangalore. I went every place. I take bus. I take the auto and everything. I see that. I cry. I was in Mumbai. I was in the 5-star hotel because I was invited as a speaker. From the room, I look back Mumbai. I see a lot of people suffering there. And I feel so touched with that. Say qualitative research is wonderful. And I think you all have to do a lot of research. Please don't keep yourself the research. Publish, present, let people know in the world. You go to ISI journal, Scopus, so that people know around the world where we are. I'm not talking positive and negative. We need to help. The only thing you can help actually by your research. Please, I'm not talking as a philosopher. I'm talking from the reality. Why Karl Marx was exist those days. Karl Marx see in the Europe, he cannot see the injustice, discrimination happening between employer and the landowner and the people who are suffering in the like prison, the agriculture, people like prison, they don't know what to do. And that's how the theory apply to the workers and employees. So we need to understand the culture. I got my student doing on non-union reputation. I think she's here, so Miss Lanini here. And I asked her, can you do research or not? In the beginning, she said, no, bro, I don't background. No, you got a background. You are HR practitioner. Why you cannot do? 93% people know unionize. They know union. Who going to help 93? You going to help 93%. And she was shocked. She asked, what I can do? No, what I can do for you, Prof? You do your research. and you come up with a new model. You propose the model to the policymaker, the minister, and make it happen. The 93% will go on your model, and the model already developed. And say, okay, Prof. So I bringing all these industry people into doing PhD because they are very important for us. All right. So that's how we passionated on qualitative. Yesterday, Dr. Ganesan talking about the marginalized group, those the Indian come as a plantation, those they're suffering a lot. My mother, one of them, salary below 100 ringgit. And me and Dr. Ganesan published a paper on the labor, on the labor issue in 1940s, how the Indian labor come from India, they're suffering, most of them pass away in road construction and so on. By today, we are the product of this. So we proud to be Malaysian. We proud to be international citizen. We are coming to India. We're coming go to the other countries. I'm actually going to the Latin America. I have very close contact with Latin America. We are going to publish a paper. I think Dr. Ganesh also published in Latin America in Spanish language. We are going to do that. So you need to communicate, contact people all over the world. We are citizens of the world. I believe Professor Luis Apreso already passed away late. He was a leader, world leader from the Peru, Latin America. He told me, Prabala, we are the citizen of the world. We are no different between you and me. We are same. We only language different. So we need to research a lot research. So that's why the foundation on the qualitative, quantitative are very clear. I'm already talking about to both of you. The most of you here in this room, you already gone through 6 days. You understand the quantitative. And today I'm opening up a door for you. In fact, Dr. Ganesh already opening up a door for you yesterday. We're talking about the historical data is come from under qualitative, and that's very interesting. I think when you do qualitative, so a lot of people don't be confused when you start doing research. Go back and do literature review, study literature review, look at your problems. When you look at a problem like English, let's say you're doing literature, you study about English, and then you go and study where the problem come from for English. Why people speaking different slang? Why the people from Singapore, from Malaysia, from other countries speaking the same language but different slang? Why the slang happening? Where is the problem? Where is wrong with that? So study of the problem, and you go and talk to the people actually from different kind of countries. For those English speaking, why your slang different? Is it because culturally you already grow like that, or because somebody wrongly teaching on English, or how? Or we want to have our own flavor that we're proud. Of course, we come from our own country, proud. We need to be shy. So we are speaking in the same language but different. So that's why go on the language side. Music, they want to study music. I asked Mr. Albert, why not you study about the impact of music on the work performance? Today, people very stressful. People lost a job. People not enough income. People feel that stressful at home. So why not you create a working environment with the music, live music, relaxed music while you're working? Where got all this industry? The industry doesn't have any innovative. Industry always blame the employees. So that's how the qualitative research can help you. Go and talk to the employer. Go and talk to the employee. Do you like music or no? Yes, I like music. What kind of music you like? I don't put a rock music. Maybe you feel so stressful. You put a slow music, like you go in aircraft. The moment you enter the aircraft, they put a light music to make you cool down and relax. Okay, that's how you create the environment. So that's how music help you to bring a better performance. So I think a lot of HR manager here, HR people here, you create an environment. Even our workplace, look at our university also. We don't have the music room. Go and create music room. When you study hard, when you have even don't have coffee, coffee corner. I didn't see any coffee corner here. Dr. Ganesan, you have coffee corner, not IPG? Dr. Ganesan? Albert, you are there?
Yes, Prof.
Do you have
I've got coffee corner in my room.
Your room. I'm not talking room, at the workplace. If you go Yes, doctor. You go to Holland, after you work so hard, I was there for 3 months, After you work so hard, you have a coffee corner, and the friend come from other side. They are not same field, He's from the science background. I'm from the social sciences, human resource. We are going to the coffee shop and relax as well. So that's how they started. When I was in Europe, first thing, Mr. Bala, shall we have a coffee? That time I don't know PhD. And we call first coffee first, then we start. Here you ask coffee, people say something wrong with this guy, So when my student come to my room, I ask first, I go to McDonald's. My university, only 5 minutes. McDonald's come to to Kota Baru. It's only 5 minutes from airport. McDonald's just around 5 minutes. Just have. But I want in the campus. I want to see the environment in the campus, like the student, like the lecturers, and you don't go to the industry. We talk a lot about industry. We want this. How this thing happen? You have to do research. You cannot convince the people. People won't believe on you. You just talk emotionally. Sorry, nobody believe on you. But you do research. You gathered, like I got one of my student completed very fast, completed Mr. Firdaus. Okay, very young guy, 30 years old. He was a special officer to VC, the busiest man in university. He finished on time. The reason why, you work very hard, work smart. You always come back to me. You always do that. And then I said to him, you have no background at all in industrial relation. I said, can you do research on the lower group of people in university? What? Wow, the result come really, really good. The results show that ineffectiveness of the union in the workplace. And we propose a new model, and we come up with a new model and ask the management to put some money to train these people. So how this thing come? Actually from the research. And he don't like, he was like so tension in the beginning. Bro, what is a theory system, theory unitarianism, theory Marxism, theory pluralism? I cannot understand, bro. What are you talking about? And then I say, go back and do your research. And I'm really thankful to the library. A librarian is very, very important. The library will do all kind of jobs. So our library is one of the best. They can give anything you ask. So that's why my student have no problem like what I gone through. So that's why in this era, this pandemic, we call all online. You still cannot finish your doctorate. Those days, my time, the internet is not that strong like what you have. A very, very slow connection. Everything we finish on time. But today, I don't know. So be aware. I hope after listening to our talk for 6 days, you finish your PhD on time. GOT, graduate in on time. Okay, so I'm going through quickly. I got a few minutes to go finish. So before we start, you must know the paradigm we call worldview. That is we call ontologies. Okay, then you start know what is your theory and perspective. Like me, I was trained as a pro-labor, pro-labor in overseas, because I always fight for the minimum wage, fight for the people, fight for the employees, and so I was in UMS. When I come back to the University of Malaysia Kelantan, they are entrepreneurship university. Then I start to appreciate the employer side of the problem, and I appreciate employees, so I bring together. So this is how the entrepreneurship university brought me a holistic approach. So I thought I move on from the Marxist theory to the pluralist theory. So pluralist theory means both parties work together. So that's how the theory is very, very important. Don't underestimate the theory. Many students say, no theory, not important. No need conceptual framework. Sorry, you cannot do like that. You must have a strong theoretical background. The theoretical background only come from your literature review, study. Go back and study. First 6 months, you just study. Go and download article and read. Now, I think all software there ready, easy. You can highlight, you can do this, you can do that. And I think wonderful. We got the best citation, journals online. We can access journal to all of the world. Everything paid by the university. Still, student come back and say, I don't know, I cannot finish. 1,000 reasons given. Some students almost 2 or 3 years even don't know, don't have chapter 1 to 3. There's one, my student just started 6 months. She already got chapter 1 to 3. She presented. Although she got a lot of comment, but she has a very high spirit to go on next level. And these are the students, so why you just sitting there and reading? And even the scholars, young scholars here a lot. Many young scholars, I advise you all, don't wait. When they come age after 40, I think Dr. Ganesan true or not, after 50, we are very slow. Am I right? We are not as speed as in the previous, okay? We're very slow. So you only got speed at the age 30 to 40. That is a prime age for you. Do whatever you can do. I wrote about 10 books before my doctorate. And now I'm writing 19 books. I will come out another book. So I want to make it 20 books in 20. You can ask, how can Prabhala, you write every year one book? No. I'm doing as a collaborative. Huh? So next speaker, Dr. Wali. Actually, I know Dr. Wali through collaboration with another university. We met in somewhere through the one colloquium and so on. And I was spent sabbatical leave for 9 months and at her university. and we come out to writing a book. We publish one Scopus journal. We are writing another Scopus, and that's how I know Dr. Wali. She'll be presenting later. So once we start that kind of connectivity, that's how we are working. Even though I'm in another university, public university, she was another university. We worked there. Dr. Ganesh also my co-researcher. He was in IPG. Institute of Teaching. I work together, and now Dr. Frank and all of my friends here, I think we can work a lot of issue. I told Dr. Frank also, you must go beyond the scope. You also bring this lavender, commerce, all this go to the worldwide, so that you will be respected by world. Okay, so I go quickly on this. So you need a method, and this is a in qualitative research, there are many qualitative research. But this is what we are using. Some people using grounded theory, ethnographic study, phenomenology, and case study. So grounded theory means there's no theory, nothing. Just go to the field work and you propose theory and write the theory. So no theory, little bit on the conceptual issue, but you go to the field work. So I have my friend in Australia, Dr. Michael. He used grounded theory. So you study about the back door, the theater, the movie star. You don't study movie star. You study about the cameraman, people carrying the chair and everything, the back door. And he used this theory. Ethnographic is one of my students. He is a minister. He is studying about integrity and corporate governance. He was practiced for more than 40 years in industry. And I brought this method, ethnography. We call ethnographic is usually we use in anthropological studies, but we apply to the management. And YB Dato is actually the minister of one of the big state in Sarawak. He completed. So he wanted to do the quantitative studies, but he end up with a 3,000 questionnaire wasted. Then I told YB Dato Taleb, you are not the quantitative, you are qualitative. He said, how do you know? I can see you that. The moment he start using ethnographic, he appreciate, come back to me, Prabala, you're right. I'm using the right method. He's almost finishing. He's the first in the world, first in the world, marriage between integrity and corporate governance. You can see my previous book, Dato Rahman, it was corporate governance, but Dato marriage together. And I didn't see any books talking about integrity as a base to create income, reduce the cost. Dato was using that model. He already practiced. And I graduating next year. So there are some students working in the plantation sector, many of them working in the oil and gas, and all of them. So sampling is not the issue here. Sampling, we use purposive sampling, and then we go and collect data. Numbers not important. Even 10 people we can do study. Even 1 people can do study numbers. But how far you collect data with the different techniques, observation, interviews, and so on. So this is a common technique that we use in a participant observation. I told you some people already working 20 years. They brought their experience and they developed. That's what Dato YB Taleb, 40 years experience. So he was data. He was also a researcher. He went with that direct observation. I sit in the many companies, 3 months. I observe people in the lower group of people, up level and everything. Structured, unstructured interview. So all this, I use the case study. Actually, I'm expert in the case study, both qualitative and quantitative. But my PhD focus mainly qualitative. All right. So the beauty of qualitative is you can develop a fantastic theory. So we developed this theory with me and my friend. We both come back PhD. He's from Queensland. I'm from Wollongong, Australia. We get together. It's now Indonesia. We propose this theory. So we are doing the same PhD, almost same. So we come out, say this is what we won best paper in New Delhi, and we publish in one of the pioneer journal in India, one of the oldest journal. So this is theory we develop, and then somebody using theory to test the theory. So that's how the quantitative people go and use this theory, because they got independent, dependent variables, and then they're testing. And this is another theory that was developed by Professor Basu Sharma. He's now in Canada. He was in Malaysia before. So he come up with this theory, and we bring this theory to understand. You can see that Malaysia now go on cooperative now. So less commercial, go cooperative. He already predicted long time ago. So and then in many people were asking Prof. Bala how to measure the quality of the research. Yes, in quantitative you say validity, reliability test, like generalization. But in qualitative, you use trustworthiness. You trust the data. How data you trust? you go and collect data in reality. You got a letter, you got everything, to prove. You got the photos, you got the pictures, everything proof. Like Dr. Ganesan was telling, you go to the archive, you collect the data. Not easy to get archive. You must go through very, very stringent process to get data. Credibility, very in quantitative is validity, but in qualitative is credibility. Data is credible or not. You have to justify that. Confirm that the theory that you're bringing, and go back your data. You confirm the theory, and this one may be matching or not matching. Why not matching? Dependability and the word transferability. So we are not generalize the whole Malaysia. We just generalize the theory that we use, and also the one place. Let's say one school, that particular school. We cannot say the whole Malaysia. That's how we end up. And then of course I give some tips for you guys. If you guys go for oral examination, normally what the examiner was expecting. I was an examiner for many theses many years back. So normally I will see your PowerPoint, present it simple but comprehensive. Do your pre-Viva at your department. Come early, at least 1 hour before the Viva start. Listen to examiners, external, internal, carefully. Answer with logical, intellectual, thorough with your literature review. That's what my first question will come. What is the issue? What are you studying? What is the research problem? What is the RQ? What is the RO? How you develop the methodology? How the finding and discussion can, you related. How's your conceptual framework that you're using and how you apply? So if I quantitative, I will asking how you develop, the questionnaire and everything, and the conclusion. The same question will ask also both qualitative and quantitative. Recently, I conducted one oral just last week by online, and I asked many questions. The student don't know what he's doing. I asked the question why he didn't understand about, but he done a very good job. But we're asking why you use a mixed method. So please, you understand carefully your method that you're using. So that is the most important. Okay. So I think, can I pass to Mrs. Pandya? I think I done mine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Really a well.
Slide. Can I stop now? Slide.
Yes, sir.
Can stop slide, All right. Okay, sorry, Pandya, a bit emotional, but that is what I'm sharing. My time is when I be, I don't know, so I need to share all my knowledge, pass on the knowledge. Sharing knowledge is very important, Pandya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't keep the knowledge with yourself. Don't, knowledge always sharing. Okay.
A really well explained, profound and knowledgeable session on qualitative research. We feel proud to have you as a resource person, sir, today. And you receive many complimentary from the participants also. Pleasure to hear this session from Sudhakar and from Paranvoy. Very much informative and knowledgeable session. And from Dr. S. Ganesan, a very detailed explanation on qualitative research. Professor Bala is always excellent in his presentation. He is a well-known research scholar in Malaysia in the field of HRIR and labor studies. And participants, now it is a time for discussion. You can interact either directly.
Question. Yeah.
Prof.
Oh,
Prof.
Yeah.
Bala.
Okay.
Prof. Bala.
Yeah, doctor.
Can you?
Yeah, can, doctor.
Prof, okay, thank you very much, Prof, for your wonderful session. As we know that you are an expert scholar in Malaysia, especially in HR industrial relation, and your long profile just now. Prof, regarding qualitative research and quantitative, okay? So both research have the problems. I mean, when the students or a researcher is doing the research either in qualitative or quantitative. So through your experience, as I know that you are a qualitative researcher doing a PhD in qualitative. So what problems that the researcher will face? What are the major problems in qualitative research when the researcher is doing the research, Prof, as you see it, or through your experience, Prof?
Okay, doctor, it's a very interesting question, very important question. You posed to, I think, most of in this room. Okay, we're all learning actually. okay, before you start your research, actually your master's or PhD level, or you want to embark your after your postdoc and so on. So first of all, issues very important. What issues actually you want to study? So going back, what are you going to do? Actually, what is your background? Okay, if we don't have any background, doesn't matter, right? But you must go to literature review. Literature review is not just chapter 2. Many misunderstand about literature review. Literature review start from the chapter 1 until the end of chapter. How many chapters depending on you. So go and study. See what happening in America. See what's happening. Example, I'm asking a simple, doctor. Let's say in my area, I'm going to study non-union representation, NER, let's say, non-union. So what is non-union? And I'll look at Malaysia. 93% is non-unionized. And then only 7%. So only 7% enjoying all the benefit there, doctor. 93% is under threat. They don't know future. They don't know what they are in the darkness, darkness. They don't see the light. But those people in the union, they see the light. But who's going to help them? And then this theory will come out. NER, they call non-union representation. So how are you going to do that? You need to come out who developed the theory. So you must go back to the gurus, So when I did my doctorate, in master and PhD, I know my guru. Who's my guru? Professor Sidney Beatrice. They are born in 1980th century. All right. Professor Ramsey. Okay. Professor Marchington. Okay. Professor Ray Markey and all these professors, they're well known. So I know the gurus where they come. They come from Oxford. They come from MIT. They come from Cornell. They come from all the top schools, Cambridge and Harvard, So these are the things you have to go and study and come back. And that's why I really love historical doctor. Without history, you cannot have the real problem. History always will determine the problem. Don't forget the history. History, they make the problem. So when the problem you clear, actually what question you're going to ask? That is important. You must answer yourself. So are you going to measure that? Are you going to see the numbers? You're going to generalize the whole Malaysia, or you want to just looking at one issue, one place, one environment? That's all. So all depending. If we ask question why and how, definitely it goes to qualitative. Why?
Okay.
Because when you ask,
Prof.
Why,
thank you very much, Prof.
This is my answer to you, doctor.
Sir, question in the chat box from Chandu, Professor Chandu. How can qualitative research complement the quantitative study? Which do I do first, the qualitative component or the quantitative component?
Oh, okay, Ms. Pandia, thank you for the doctor. You asked for the question. Actually, it can come both. It depending what is your question. Sometimes the problem, maybe you have the mixed method. All right. Maybe you see the concept or theory not well developed. So you want to know what actually you want to know about that theory or the instrument. You want to see the instrument. Maybe you use a qualitative first. You do small study first. You go and ask people to verify the concept. So you can use a qualitative first, or you want to use the instrument to strengthen the instrument. You can have an interview with the people, with the expert, and so on. And then that's what the first level of data collection will be on the what they call qualitative. And then you want to go to the next level. You want to have a big numbers to verify the qualitative data. And then you go and collect about 300-400 companies, and then you go and verify, and then you develop a conceptual issue, and you develop a hypothesis, and then you test it based on the result you get from the first phase of data. So all depend how you develop your question. So the key is actually research question. If you fail to framework research question, and the method always not matching. So the research question can be mixed. Maybe how many, how, why, and what can happen like that. Then you can. So all depending on the issue that you inquire. It doesn't matter. You use the qualitative or quantitative or mixed method. It's okay. All depending what is your question.
Yes. Another question from Albert Mark. My question is, I want to combine musical activities with soft skills in working environment. What is the appropriate methodology for my study? Is it a qualitative study, a quantitative study, or mixed methods? Secondly, is hypothesis can be used in qualitative research?
Oh, okay. Very interesting question. So, Mr. Albert, before you study, you have to see the literature review. Anyone studied your in your area? Let's say your area is very little people study, then you use a qualitative. Then also your own ontology. What is your paradigm shift? What is your paradigm? What is your philosophical science? And you know that because you're already a musician for a long time. You are in the music, and you look at the soft skill on the choir members. Sometime I heard your college winner of the on the what they call winner in the country. So you want to study why? What is the reason why? And what kind of soft skill? So maybe you can start with the qualitative first. Then after you ground your data, then you come up with a model. Maybe your PhD level you can study quantitative level, all depending the issue that you inquire. So it doesn't matter qualitative or quantitative is depending what question you propose. If your question just like why and how, then definitely qualitative. If your question mix what, how many, why, and then you do mixed method. Or your question just like what is a relationship, what relationship, and to what extent, like that. Then you go quantitative. So depending on your research problem and the question. I think I answer. Okay, next question. Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Next question from Anthony, master student. My thesis is study on marketability factors and strategies of university graduates in the cooperative sector. Case study in Sabah. Based on your opinion, what a methodology is suitable this type of case study? Qualitative or quantitative or mixed method?
Okay, if I want to advise you, depending on what level you are, okay, if your level in the master's level, I propose you do qualitative. And when you go for the PhD, maybe you can use the mixed method because you maybe want to study small industry side. Maybe you take maybe a few cooperative that you think very important, and you just do small study. Maybe you can use few students, you do the focus group discussion, you interview them, and with your owner of the cooperative, ask them whether they want to accept the graduate or not in industry. Ask the graduate whether they like it or not. You make your life very close with them. You talk and turn. So that will be qualitative. If you use a quantitative, maybe it's not appropriate because you may give numbers for you, but to make sure that this can influence the policymaker, maybe you need to have this kind of story. So I said depending on the how the literature level available, how much the question you're going to propose, and how do that. So I would like to see you do on qualitative first, then because small study, and then after that you complete, and then you propose a model, then you go for the next big study. I back to the Albert the question whether you need a hypothesis. I think that's another question everybody asking. Mr. Albert, for qualitative, you can use a proposition. Professor Robert In saying that proposition, we use a word, but we are not testing, remember. So you can have hypothesis, you can have a proposition, or you don't need to have anything. You just use a research question. Because the fundamental issue is we are just want to know more data from the people. Example, you can ask your student, hey, why you think soft skill very important? Then they give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In quantitative, you cannot get that kind of answers. Maybe you will limited answers, but you can get under the carpet, under the carpet issue, which I think quantitative cannot answer. Many issues under the carpet you cannot see. You take out the carpet, all dirty there, but you look at the carpet surface, all nice. So qualitative have a power to drag under the carpet issue. So that's the answer. Miss, my dear, you anyone?
Yes, sir. And one more question from Prajaganta Singh. Sir, how many research questions may be framed?
Oh, okay. Depends what kind of your study. If you do masters, I think 2 questions enough already. Masters. If you do PhD, 4 questions enough already. But the 4 question, you may have a sub question. Remember, the 4 big. So always ask my student, what is a big question in your research? So you ask a big question and then you got sub question. Can be done also like that. So maybe you got 3 major question and you got sub question. So like me in PhD, I got 4 questions. But in between, I got a sub question. So it depending what kind of study. So PhD, you need at least 4 questions because you need to create or you need to develop a theory, or you want to test the theory and you want to develop a new paradigm, a framework, and something like that. So for master's level, I always encourage them 2 questions enough, but you need to do in-depth studies. So I think I answer your question, Doctor.
Sir?
Yeah, I think I answer Mr. Branjakanda Singh.
Yes, sir. Any more questions? Participants?
So interesting, huh?
Yes, sir. Very interesting.
Everybody fascinated about the qualitative. Actually,
Yes,
it's
sir.
true, qualitative. Anybody? Anybody can, don't be shy, huh? Probably I ask
Participants.
my student can or not. Firdaus, 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 are you there? I don't know.
Yes,
Is
Prof.
there?
Yeah, Prof.
Firdaus, you completed your study masters, am I right? How many
Yes.
questions you use in there? Why you use qualitative? Don't use the quantitative? Can you answer? He's my student. Just completed.
Yes, Prof.
Why? How many questions you use in your thesis as a master's level, and why you use qualitative, not using quantitative?
Because that is qualitative. I think that's many maklumat yang I got from the qualitative.
Information lah, vast
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Are you exciting with your research? Are you exciting?
Yes. I'm excited for my research, Prof.
And what is the response from the management?
What?
The management, they like you to take your research to make a policy.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Lim, are you here, Mr. Lim? Okay, Mr. Lim, I think you started with the qualitative. Suddenly you moved to quantitative. Why? Mr. Lim is, I told you, a deputy director for the hospital, one of the big hospital. He's a frontliner. He started with the qualitative. Suddenly you moved to quantitative. Mr. Lim, can you answer that? We cannot hear you. We can't hear you. I think there's no sound. Oh, maybe something problem, Mr. Lim. It's okay. Okay, Mr. Pandya, I think Mr. Lim got a problem.
Yes,
I
sir.
pass to you. He's my PhD, my DBA student, Doctor of Business.
Oh, nice.
And then one more last, Pandya, I got one student. Nalini, are you there? Nalini?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, Nalini, you are just started your PhD, am I right?
Yes.
What method you think appropriate for your doctorate, and why you want to choose that method?
Okay. For me, for my research, I'm doing on the non-union employee representation, and I'll be taking as a qualitative approach because I want to get more insights, more meaningful information directly from the employee, from the employer side, as well as those making policymakers, regulators, from these people, from this group of people. I would like to have more insights from them directly, direct information from them, because what the end of the day, what we want to do is like we want to give more meaningful that able to relate back to the situation, what the country is having, what the employers are facing, what the employees are facing, so we can relate back to that, and we can see how we can improvise, we can protect the employees, so that from there we can make a better policy. We can recommend the policy to the government and how we can protect, because that's what we are looking at now. Now as now with the COVID situation, we can see how employees are being abused or being not well protected. So I believe qualitative will help to get more information, more meaningful information, so that we can translate that into policies and that can be implemented to protect the employees. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nalini.
Thank you.
Nalini just started a PhD, so I can see that you're on the right track. Okay, okay, thanks. I think Ms. Pandya, I just testing the students so that they will give a better answer. Then
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any more questions from the participants?
Thank you very much, Prof, for your
Yeah.
wonderful session.
Yeah, Doctor. Thanks, Doctor.
I think Dr. Wali is waiting.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Wali is another young scholar. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. It's nice to have you here for this session. We feel very grateful and to be a resource person. This is a wonderful session, informative session, as well as a knowledgeable sharing session for the participants, for the entire people, those who are watching this and all. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks.